Hello and welcome to Games for Good, a programme from the International Game Developers Association and ITN Productions. Now, ever since the first space invaders descended from the sky, video games haven't always been viewed in a particularly favourable way, often seen as violent, addictive and antisocial. But as the years pass and the gamers of yesterday become the developers of today, those perceptions have changed dramatically. In this programme, we'll be looking at Games for Good. I'm joined now by Renee Gittins, IGDA Executive Director. Renee, welcome to the programme. Now, today we're talking about Games for Good. Why is it so important to raise awareness of the industry and all the good things that it's doing?
Video games can truly be a force for good in many aspects that I think is important to bring to the public eye. Video games are tools of empathy that help people connect, particularly during this pandemic that we've been suffering, as well as educational tools that inspire confidence and bring players to understand other cultures and worlds.
There have been some negative perceptions about the industry. How are these being addressed?
Some people consider video games potentially negative influences. They think that video games may inspire violence or poor social behavior or just, seclusion. But that's really not the case. I mean, certainly there's extremes in any situation, but video games can bring people together. And I want to show and work with others to show how video games and development of them can help everyone in the world and combat those negative perceptions.
For people who are maybe considering a career in this sector, what would you say to them and how varied is it?
Video games are so varied in terms of their career opportunities. No matter what your background is, there is a place in the game industry for you. Of course, we have artists and programmers and game designers, but we also have writers and lawyers and marketing people and anthropologists and people with cultural backgrounds and understandings, even historians. I think what makes games so beautiful is that they bring together art and technology and the entire history of knowledge that we have as humans, as people. And I think it's truly beautiful to bring together all of this knowledge and culture and art together into one form that someone can truly experience.
Renee, what initiatives do the IGDA run to support the sector and really encourage the next generation?
Our mission as the International Game Developers Association, the IGDA, is to support and empower game developers in achieving fulfilling and sustainable careers. We want to uplift current game developers as well as the next generation. And we do this by providing them with resources to boost their career, knowledge, webinars, mentorship programs even, as well as a wonderful worldwide community of over 100 local chapters around the globe and special interest groups that support disciplines, affinities, and advocacy groups. And then finally, we make sure that game developers put their best foot forward. We ensure that their voice is always being heard and that it is considered how game developers see their art forms and how they live their daily lives when decisions are being made that will affect them.
You've touched on this a little, but tell me more about how the International Games Developers Association is helping support its members.
Specifically to help our members, we have programs like our mentorship program, but we also run events, both local events when it's safe to do them, and events that support developers internationally. We have the Pathfinding's Global South Conference that supports developers from the Global South. We ran an eJam last summer to support college students who were unable to have internships or their normal programs at school. And we do outreach for our developers to make sure that industry standards are being met, that they're being properly credited and supported and receive not only the career support they need, but the community and mental health support as well.
So where do you see the future of this industry, Renee?
I see games being more and more accepted and integrated into day-to-day life and culture. I think that video games deserve the same artistic respect that film does and music. And I think we're starting to get there. As unfortunate as this pandemic has been, this also showed the power of games and how they can bring people together and support them through difficult times. And I hope that we see more and more acceptance of this wonderful, empathetic art form and medium.
Creating an inclusive culture is at the forefront of IGDA's values to support both the sector and gamers alike. Nearly 20 years ago, IGDA set up the Accessibility Special Interest Group, or SIG as it's known, to improve the accessibility of games. We went to meet some of the volunteers involved.
Whether you're playing alone or with others, a game is a great way to relax, escape and have fun. And for Vivek, who lives with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and Amy, who's partially sighted, it's also an opportunity to be part of a wider world and to make friendships and connections online.
In reality, I can hardly do anything. So games kind of give me the freedom to do things that I wouldn't usually be able to do, or it's just some kind of enjoyment for me to kind of escape my condition for a bit.
In so much of my daily life, I face barriers. So when I'm in the comfort of my own home and I can feel included in a video game and have the same experience as other people with just a little few accessibility tweaks, it's so refreshing.
And helping as many people as possible to enjoy games is the IGDA Game Accessibility Special Interest Group. Its volunteers have worked for nearly 20 years to support the game industry to become more accessible.
It's very difficult to make a game accessible for absolutely everyone, but you can make it accessible for more people.
Barry Ellis is a game accessibility historian who joined the Special Interest Group, or SIG as it's known, soon after it was formed.
It brought together people who felt like they were alone. This is users, this is academics, this is just niche tinkerers, parents and so on. And it brought together so much knowledge, and it was like a hotbed of thinking. What would make things easier for people? What works? What's already worked? And pushing game developers for more. So much has radiated out from the accessibility SIG. It's been incredible, really.
The biggest initiative that the SIG has is the Gaming Accessibility Conference that happens twice a year in the USA and in Europe. But the SIG has done all kinds of other things over the years, lobbying, educating, also developing resources as well, guidance on best practices for hardware manufacturers, for game developers. And we're currently actually working on some more resources for specific types of companies and specific disciplines as well.
But despite the many advances over the years to improve game accessibility, there is much more that can be done.
Even with all the progress that's being made, we're still not even at the point where any game has even managed to ace all of the basics. So things like remapping, subtitle presentation, colorblind support, how intense your effects and camera are. And that's just the basics. The basics isn't where we need to be. We really need to be at a point where anyone can pick up any game and just take it for granted that they're going to have at least a reasonable expectation of being able to play it.
When the game industry is diverse and supported by people from around the world, it means that the content we create, the games we create, reflect the diversity of cultures and experience and can uplift even more players and others.
I think that studios need to employ more accessibility teams, have in-house accessibility teams staffed by disabled people. I think the game studios and developers need to bring disabled gamers on board at the beginning of development rather than retrofitting access back into the game. And I would like to see studios celebrating that accessibility to a wider audience.
You can't talk about accessibility without involving us as in disabled gamers, because we're the experts on this topic, really. So we have a great community and we are doing a lot of exciting stuff, and the future is very, very bright for us.
It's been a fascinating discussion. Thank you to all of you for joining me today.
Video games are one of the most popular forms of entertainment, but can often be seen as a negative influence on society. Ubisoft Future Games of London is a games developer that is changing this perception by encouraging their players to give back to the planet. We went to find out what they're doing to help.
Oh my god, it is a big shark!
It's a huge one. Yeah,
I love the colour.
A friendly game where sharks bite, taking you on a journey through the oceans. These giant predators who ruled the world's waters for 400 million years are now gobbling up fish in virtual oceans, and at the same time raising deeper questions about how games can be used to inspire players to think about the health of our planet.
Oh no! Can't die. Not today.
The Hungry Shark series is a hugely successful, fun, entertaining game that's about ruling the oceans and survival. It's one of the most downloaded games in the world. But beyond the play, the company behind the game, Ubisoft FGOL, wants to increase awareness of sustainability issues and create an environment that's safe and secure, not just for sharks, but for future generations too.
Yeah, our games have to be fun, don't they? Otherwise they're not going to come back and play them again.
The gaming industry has recognised that as well as creating games people want to play, they have to appeal to a changing customer base. Gamers are now more diverse and demanding. They're a community that's thinking about their impact on the earth. Gaming companies are listening and creating partnerships, such as the one with the international advocacy group Oceana to raise money and recruit advocates for their conservation work.
We are passionate about our community and the players that play our games, and we want our community to experience these different things through our games. So we work with a lot of different organisations, Oceana being one that we've worked with since 2015, and we are able to integrate the kind of different causes that they are looking at into our games, like Hungry Shark World. Sharks are the stars of our games, so it's important for our community to really understand the issues that they're facing and how they can kind of directly get involved in helping them.
Imagine if we went for a more realistic style.
But the key to making a game that well-informed and socially conscious players want to play is not to preach about the issues.
We have a kind of long history of working with conservation partners and educating our players, and they're really into topics such as climate and protecting, the Earth's marine ecosystems. So we've been working with the United Nations, Playing for the Planet organisation, lots of game studios on something called the Green Game Jam. And what we do is we build special content for our players. Last year was about polar ice cap melt. This year we're focusing on coral reefs, preservation, restoration. And what we like to do is not be preachy, not do educational games or some of these words like edutainment that are quite cringy.
The power and reach of the gaming industry has led international organisations such as the United Nations to collaborate too.
Why is the UN doing this? I think we have no choice but to work with video games companies to do this kind of work. They reach more people than any other medium in the world. But also we're in a race against time. We've got 10 years to keep the planet under 1.5 degrees, and everything has to be on the table. We're trying to shift an entire sector to think about what it can do to make a difference, both in terms of the power it uses and how it can inspire purpose in play.
At the heart of this gaming company is a principle that isn't about profits or the bottom line. It's about moving with the times and understanding that in a world facing a catastrophic climate crisis, their community wants to act to make their future a sustainable one, and they want to play games that reflect what's happening in the world around them.
The video game sector is growing rapidly in Serbia, and one company at the forefront of this revolution is games developer Nordeus. I'm joined now from Belgrade by Milan Jovovic and Milan Duricanin to explain how they're working closely with the local community and helping the country's growth. Welcome to you both. If I can start with you, Milan, tell us a bit more about the history of Nordeus.
Hi, everyone. Nordeus was started slightly like 12 years ago by 3 friends. We all worked abroad, but we all had a dream to build games. We came back to Serbia, started Nordeus, and the rest is history. 11 years later, we're incredibly proud of what we have achieved, both with our games, but also with the culture that we've built in the company. Nordeus is all about creativity and pushing the boundaries of games, but we're also very proud of what we've done for our community. 11 years ago, gaming was not a big thing here. Now you can see Belgrade and other cities in Serbia popping with new studios. We also contributed a lot to the community outside of our industry, helping hospitals, fighting with COVID, equipping maternity wards, etc.
Well, you talked there about the achievements in games and the fantastic achievements that Nordeus has had. Tell us about some of the games.
Our most successful game is Top 11. Top 11 was built 11 years ago. It's still alive and it's incredibly growing over the last few years. The game is about Football Manager and it is the most successful Football Manager on mobile today. We're constantly talking to our users, understanding what they really want this game to become. We're constantly working on it, the majority of the company working on that game still. And we're incredibly proud of the community of Top 11 gamers that we've built.
You touched on there the incredible success that Nordeus has had, and it's been recently acquired, of course, by Take-Two. So tell us about that.
We're incredibly proud to be part of the Take-Two family now. Take-Two is one of the largest entertainment companies in the world. Take-Two is the company with the most amount of hits, and we're proud that Top 11 and our new games are going to be part of that incredible family. Take-Two and Nordeus share a lot of synergies. Our strategies are incredibly compatible. What we're trying to build at Nordeus is a gaming studio dedicated to football games, which fits perfectly well within the Take-Two family. We're incredibly excited about what the future can bring. We can see a lot of opportunities that just unlock for us so we can compete on a much higher level.
Milos, if I can come to you now to tell me a bit more about how Nordeus is supporting the gaming industry and, of course, the local community in Serbia.
Hey guys, well, watching the development of the gaming industry in the previous few years was nothing short of amazing. With just a few companies existing 10 years ago, we are now having over 100 companies in Serbia today. Only 3 years ago, we formed FGA with the main goal of building the community. And today, this community is driving the growth of our gaming ecosystem and accelerating the development of the whole industry. And this is making us really proud to see such a huge development in such a short time. Together, the gaming community today is building the education in a way that it was never before seen in Serbia. And we really have this impact on the startup ecosystem as well. Nordeus launched the Nordeus Hub to support everyone thinking about launching a game or in a process of developing a game. So it's really exciting times. Just a few years ago, putting Serbia on a global map of gaming was a dream, but today is a goal that is shared with the whole community, and we are all making it happen.
There's no doubt it's been incredible what you guys and Nordeus have achieved in such a short space of time. And of course, you've recently set up the Nordeous Foundation, which is going to be a crucial part of it as well, isn't it?
Yes, we always had great programmers, and our education was great to that end. But today, digital economy, especially gaming industry, is much more complex and multifunctional, and we want to make our education as such. So as Nordeous Foundation, we want to bring more creativity and innovation to our school and help our children really prepare for the 21st century skills, to give them support on their path to professional and personal excellence. And this is the goal of the Nordeous Foundation.
Guys, I know you're both incredibly busy, so thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today, and I wish you all the success in the future. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Michael.
You guys.
Video games are not only for entertainment, but are increasingly being used for education and social impact. Games for Change is a not-for-profit organisation helping to make a difference through games and immersive media. I'm joined now by Susanna Pollock, Games for Change President. Susanna, it's lovely to see you today. Welcome. Tell me a bit more about Games for Change and why it was founded.
Games for Change was founded in 2004 with a simple premise that video games have a power beyond entertainment. It was created by a group of academics, game designers, and social innovators that believed that this unique form of media had the opportunity to transform and transcend the use of games simply as a form of entertainment. And now, 15, 18 years later, we have a community of cross-sector individuals around the world that are using games to drive impact.
Can you give me some examples of your games and how they help?
We have a number of programs that serve to reach different audiences. Our flagship event has been the Games for Change Festival that has been convening for 18 years. And what's exciting about this event is that it brings together people from different disciplines. Of course, we have game designers that are creating games, whether they're entertainment games, AAA studios are participating, or small independent developers. But what's exciting is that we also have researchers and academics, we have people in the education system, the healthcare sector, people in humanitarian sectors, all convening together to learn and explore how games can be used to reach their individual impact goals. We also work to support social impact organizations, whether they're foundations, not-for-profits, government agencies, and help them connect with game designers and figure out how they can use games to drive their social impact goals. We run challenges and competitions. We run game jams that bring together game designers with subject matter experts so they can collaborate on developing games, whether it's to help serve mental health issues or raising awareness about global concerns around the world. So we really can bring together these different kind of experts so they can make games for impact. And lastly, we also work with organizations as an executive producer and as consultants. So we're not a game studio, but we have a strategic approach where we help social impact organizations understand first the components of what games are, but also ways in which they can align their social impact goals to game design and eventually a distribution strategy so that these games can reach people wherever they're looking to serve.
So you're going to be having a truly global impact. It's absolutely incredible. Tell me about how video games are helping create this change.
We've been seeing over the past several years the use of games in so many different sectors, and it's very exciting to see this grow and really take on. We're seeing games that are being used to train medical students, surgeons. We're seeing games that are helping social workers and healthcare professionals help with working, let's say, in bedside manners or managing difficult situations with clients. And we're seeing games used in education, whether it's in elementary or middle school, but also in higher education. And then what's also very exciting is we're seeing large organizations that are using games to help build awareness around critical and social issues. So there's a broadening group of organizations and sectors that are embracing games and the power that they can have. But we're also seeing, which is really exciting, are new forms of media that are bringing game-like elements into their storytelling or development process, like immersive media, like virtual reality and augmented reality. And it's really exciting to see how these new forms of media using game-like mechanics can have the impact around the world. Over the last few years, we've seen a large interest grow from communities around the world. We're based in the United States, and we have been serving a global community, but we've also identified as an opportunity to help grow communities in different countries and continents around the world. So we're launching chapters in different countries that will hopefully bring together and develop these communities of practice within those communities themselves. So this past year, we've launched an Asia Pacific chapter that's going to have their first event in Melbourne later on this year. We've announced a G4C Africa chapter that will also have its first event this year. And we have chapters in Latin America and also Europe. So we're excited to see academics, social innovators, game designers all coming together in these countries and these regions that will also develop and grow the use of games for impact all over the world.
These days, video games are about way more than players spending all their time in front of a screen. At ArenaNet, there's a strong ethos behind their games that puts building communities front and centre, emphasises inclusivity and fosters understanding at the heart of their created world. We went to find out more.
These are some of the people behind one of the world's best-known, massively multiplayer online role-player games. ArenaNet's Guild Wars 2 is the center of a vibrant global community. The fictional world of Tyria is the backdrop for adventure and overcoming shared obstacles.
What that kind of fosters is this big, diverse community of individuals who interact with each other on a daily basis because they want to, work together within these settings.
For many in the community, it's been a major source of support in the offline world too, for those struggling with issues like mental health.
I can speak from experience, right? I used to not be in such a great place growing up, and being able to, interact with individuals who you discover these people along the way that have very similar interests to you, whether it be within the gaming space itself, or you find that you have other interests with them as well.
A desire to help has led to initiatives such as joining the Seize the Awkward campaign, encouraging open dialogue about mental health.
The core of Seize the Awkward was just helping people understand, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to communicate that you're not okay. And there are people in the world, right, that want to know these things and want to help you or just be there.
Working with organizations who share similar values is another element of this community-focused approach.
Extra Life has an event every year, the first week in November, called Game Day, where gamers all over the world come together and they marathon games to raise awareness and funds for Children's Miracle Network hospitals. This has been going on for a long time. Back in 2017, ArenaNet decided to jump in as a company and participate in Game Day and see what we could do. We live streamed Guild Wars 2 for 24 hours.
Last year, ArenaNet matched $25,000 of the funds raised and has added in-game purchases to support Extra Life. Other annual in-game events and fundraisers are Pink Day in LA to help fight breast cancer and Tyria Pride, celebrating the LGBTQ community.
You log in when it's time for people to start gathering together, and you see it is this mass of players in the open world, and they've all colored their outfits and their armor in game and their characters' hair, and it's just this rainbow.
Millions of people around the world play Guild Wars 2.
As the worldwide gaming community grows, it's meant more responsibility for game developers. Representation and authenticity have become increasingly important.
A group of employees has formed an Asian cultural representation group working to improve the way cultural aspects of the game are represented.
There's something really special about seeing part of yourself, seeing part of your culture be represented in a really beautiful, authentic way that doesn't feel tokenizing or appropriated or fake.
Their work includes adding input and perspective on Asian characters and details such as their attire.
How can we kind of take that inspiration and still be true to it and be respectful to that design, and yet take it to a place where it works for us in sort of like a practical sense, and also add a little bit of Guild Wars sort of fantasy flair to it.
One of Guild Wars 2 core values is that a player is never upset to see another player. The developers say it's designed to have a supportive instead of an overly competitive feel.
It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what you're struggling with. It doesn't matter if you are struggling with depression, or if you have health issues that are making your life hard. It doesn't matter who you love. It doesn't matter who you are. You are part of our community, and you are welcome here.
And early next year, when the next expansion, End of Dragons, is released, this diverse and inclusive community will have even more ways to connect.
Thank you for watching Games for Good. All of our reports are available to view on the IGDA website. The details are on screen now. From me and the team here, though, thank you for watching and goodbye.